Hey there, it's 12 o'clock on Monday. SWANDA here. Thank you for joining me today. My talk today is you find you wherever you go. Do you love where you're at? And the reason I wanted to give this talk is I've noticed for quite some time that many of us have been struggling. A lot of energy coming at us, downloads coming in, uploads coming out, struggling with what we're doing and how we're doing it. And one of the things that is so difficult is that we go in and we can't always find a way to just be. So before we get into the talk, if you like the Resonant Essentials page and you haven't as yet liked and subscribed, please feel free to do so. We'd love to have you join our community and ring the bell. You'll get the notices when we go live. Brother Francis Revels Bay will be on Resonant Essentials going live with his wisdom talks. He's now set up and ready to go. So it'll be he and I doing lives, and soon we hope Rosie will be joining us for live tarot. I've been promising it for a while, but she's had some life stuff happening that seems to take her a little sideways. So again, like, subscribe, and ring the bell if you want to get in and have the discussion, be able to make comments during the talks. So anyway, the reason I wanted to give this talk is because this is an age-old thought, and it's given to us in many different forms. This is not a unique thought. In AA, it's called "You Take You With You When You Go." My mother used to say that. She did a lot of AA talk, a lot of the different terms, the cliches, the little bits of wisdom that we get. And, there's the one, turn around and there you are. I happen to think that AA is one of the most spiritual programs that we can find, and many other 12-step programs have mimicked that particular program. Well, just as a sidebar and just as a side note, have you noticed that we have 12 chakras? We have 12-step programs. This is because man is becoming a 12, or humans are. Right now we're vibrating at about a 7. The 8th ray was cast in order to bring us up a little higher. That was in between 92 and 94, and around 2012 to 2015, the 9th ray was cast. And this is to raise our consciousness. This was to help us wake up. And, some people are still vibrating at a 7, 7 notes to the scale, 7 C's, 7 colors in the rainbow. But we know that, like in the rainbow, there's more, 7 deadly sins, but we know there's more. The more that we wake up, the more that we raise consciousness, the more we have more. So man being a 7 is momentarily. So look at those 12 steps. 12 universal laws of metaphysics. They're very similar to the 12-step program, and people don't really look at this as a reality, and we need to, because we take us wherever we go. Do you like where you are? We will find us everywhere we go. We can't get away from us. And that may seem like redundancy, but it's really a powerful statement. We're always reminded that we are the only ones that we are. Everyone else in our world flows in and out. They go to the grocery store or they go away. I know this upsets quite a few people when I say, sometimes your twin flame, which I'm not a fan of the term twin flame, that's another story for another day, may not come back to you. It doesn't mean that you didn't have real feelings for this person, but sometimes they just don't come back. You can't wait for somebody to come back to be that be all end all for you. All they were showing you, their job was to show you the be all end all you could be. So don't rely on everybody else to make your world happier, richer, wiser, safer. You're the one responsible. You're the one that can do it. You know, we all have our sayings that speak to our levels of enlightenment, like Lao Tzu said, journey, I hope I'm saying that right, Lao Tzu, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. All of that serves to remind us that we are ever responsible for our life, our many lives, and the changes that we make to grow spiritually. We cannot lay our bodies to rest and say, well, I just don't feel like doing anything more, because even no movement creates movement. If you do nothing, rotting is a movement of energy. You slide backwards. There's no standing still. There's a pause, a brief, and then you move again. Upwards, backwards, or in a complete pile of roughage and waste. So when I tell you and I ask you what I asked you, which is, wherever you find you, wherever you go, do you love where you are? I'm asking you truly to really think about how much of your life that you're investing in, how much of your spiritual awareness are you buying into? Excuse me. It's allergy season in New Mexico. We're up in the 60s, almost 70s, and things are flying. So when we go out there and we do these monumental life changes, and when we start looking at what we're supposed to be doing, it's wasted effort if we sit in anger and in bitterness and in defeat, or if we sit waiting for somebody to talk nice to us or be nice to us. Sometimes it's time to leave and move on into higher awareness. So when we say things like, I can't do that, then you've already failed. You have failed. The minute I can't comes out of your mouth, you failed. It's done. You can't, because that's what your words in your mind have told the energy of your spirit. I can't. So it says, okay, well, I'm going to sit over here and I'll wait until you decide that you can. When you say, well, maybe I can, you've stepped to the door. You've stood at the door and you're looking at that door and you're like, well, maybe I can walk through that door. And that's okay, because that's movement. That's, maybe that door is meant for me. Maybe that door has something in on the other side, if I open it up, that's going to bring me more enlightenment, more peace, more light, more abundance, more something. It could even bring us more drama, which, if it brings more drama, can still bring you more peace, more light, more abundance. It's all in how we look at it. And if you say, I can, then you have walked through the door. You're standing on the other side of the threshold and you're looking at all the possibilities. When you say, I will, you have succeeded. You have taken that bit of energy and turned it into action. You know, the sixth rule of, or law of metaphysics, is inspired action. And it begins with just that momentum of, I want this to be different. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of hard work sometimes because we think it's going to be hard. We're like, why does everybody say this is so easy? It's the other thing. It's all dependent upon you. So when I hear, like I heard somebody say, Well, if it's too hard, then you shouldn't be doing that. Well, honey, nothing comes easy in life. Or does it? Some things come easy. Some things you've already built up the energy way back here in the past, and the momentum is carrying you forward. So it opens doors. It's just the doors start flinging open. But sometimes you're just at that precipice of, I'm going to start this change. I want to have something different in my life. I want to be somebody different. So when you had a thought, I want to become a healer, or you had a thought, I like what energy work does. You were at that door. I'm going to check it out. I can do this. I can go check it out. You open that door, you stepped in, and the world of possibilities opened. And starting with whatever modality that you wanted, started your flow going. Now, don't get me wrong. There's levels of that too, because I've taught a lot of healing, a lot of healing classes. And the funny thing that always cracks me up is there's always somebody that thinks they took the one class and that automatically graduated them to be a healer. So they grab their crystals, they grab their stones, they grab their holy water or whatever else they've got, and they run around to all their friends and family. Let me work on you. Let me work on you. Let me work on you. That's wonderful because your intention is there. But it does take time to really understand the energy. First off, it takes time to heal you, because as the healer, you have to heal the broken in you before you can start really affecting change in other people. And believe me, we all have a lot of broken. And we just keep working on it because we will create change, right? Not I can, we will create it. So a wise person told me one time, and this is another reason for this talk, is a wise person told me one time, I decided I needed to really sit down and think about how life was working, because I noticed there was one common denominator in all my drama, and it was me. I'm the common denominator. And I laugh because it's true. And if we don't recognize that we are the common factor in how happy our life is and how miserable our life is, we're the ones that make it different. And how we affect changes by how we change our perceptions. So I can wake up in the morning and I could go, oh my God, I don't want to get out of bed. I've put in 10 hours yesterday, and today I've got this to do, that to do. And oh my gosh, I just want one easy day. And I could be miserable, and my momentum is horrible to get started. And I think, okay, so if I do this, I might as well change my attitude and go, wow, you know what? If I get up and I get this done, that done, and that done, I've got the rest of the day. I've got my happy moments on. I have my peace of mind. I have somebody, I dearly love this person, but every time I turn around, they find fault in everything. And I'm thinking, dang, they're really self-critical, because you won't see fault in everything unless you're working on finding the faults within you. This is how it works. So we have to change our denominator, us, to be a little bit more open to the positive flow. It's, you take you with you when you go. So if you don't like your job yet again, and you don't like your home, or you don't like the people you're associating with, it's not them. It really is you. So that statement, it's not you, honey, it's me. It's true. Wouldn't it be great if we could all be in our perfection already? I would love that. Just think. But it's our thoughts about ourselves that we project onto others. Or it's our thoughts about ourselves that we find everything else as lacking something. So we have to really look. People go, "Oh, you have to love yourself." Well, that's crap, man. That's easier said than done. I have to love myself. Okay, that means I have to do away with all my guilt. That means I have to do away with everything I ever did wrong. And oh my gosh, the list is endless of what I've done wrong. I've got to I got to answer for what everybody says I did to them. No, I don't. I don't. Cuz none of us do. What we have to do is we have to say I am enough. Right where I'm at, I am in my perfect divine timing. That's what you have to say. I will embrace unconditional love and trust in myself. I will create unconditional love and trust in myself. I will enjoy my life. I will love everyone who comes my way. I will find no fault in anyone because we are all perfected beings, even if they make a mistake. Guess what? They're still in them. That light is still a perfected being. It's having a human experience. Okay. And we have to recognize there's a big difference with that. Just because you're having a human experience does not mean you are not a perfected being in divine timing. And it does not mean that everything else is crap all around you. It doesn't mean that it's everybody else's fault that you're not the success that you want to be. It doesn't mean that anybody held you back. It's the problem that we face is when we become victims to our circumstances. Don't get me wrong. I have had some things happen to me that were not of my human choice, but they were on my spiritual awakening path. Now, let me say that again. They are not my human choice to experience, but they were on my spiritual path to experience. I created these things to wake up, to find me. And there are some things that I agreed with other people to go through to help me wake up further. Sometimes they weren't pleasant things. Sometimes they were really god awful hard. And sometimes I still well up in with tears. But I'm human. And humanity means that we are in a body that has a physical vibration that is much lower than the spiritual body, the etheric body, the soul body, the causal body, any of the bodies, the astral body, are all of higher frequency. So housing them in this physical form, we don't see as clear. Okay? So we need to recognize that our thoughts about ourselves actually create our reality. I'm not worthy. I'm afraid I'm going to be raped. I'm living in fear of bankruptcy. All of that talk can eventually bring on that experience. And I don't think that's something we need to experience anymore. I think we're past that time, and I think we're at a time of enlightenment. We have to understand that our thoughts that we think about ourselves, we project those on others. She's a bitch. He's an asshole. Guess what? You triggered the behavior that you're seeing to bring that out because that's in you too. So understanding that we're each other's triggers gives us a whole different accountability, doesn't it? and our beliefs. We have to align our beliefs with who we are. So if you don't want the drama in your life, then you align your beliefs to a higher level of awareness. You align your beliefs to believe in the good that can happen in your world. Don't focus on who's going to show up to participate on that, because you're going to be back on the other side of that door under, well, I might. The door'll shut and you'll be at the I might. I might bring somebody in that's gonna I might get back together with that person. They love me. I know they do because I believed every word they said. They did love you, and they showed you. And now you wanna be on the other side of I will love myself. I will be in the flow of positive light and love. That will open the door to bring the people in that participate in your life on that frequency. Because maybe the person that you're mourning or missing, maybe that person isn't of your frequency anymore. It's like that blind date I once had. I went on this blind date and the guy told me, I was I'm laughing. It's kind of funny. He told me about the ex-girlfriend and what she did. And then he told me about the ex-girlfriend before the ex-girlfriend and what she did. Then he told me about the ex-girlfriend before the ex-girlfriend before the ex-girlfriend and what she did. And then he told me about the ex-wife that was before the ex-girlfriend, that was before the ex-girlfriend, that was before the ex-girlfriend. And what I learned from that conversation with him was we'd never go out again. That was once was enough. Thank you. Thank you, kind man. 2, I learned from what he was telling me exactly how not to do. And I'm not anybody's training ground. I am not going to change who I am. I never have. I've been divorced for over 45 years, about 45 years. I've never changed who I was to suit somebody in order to keep them. Now, I may have momentarily adjusted my lifestyle to accommodate them in my life because I do believe in compromise. I do believe in blending, but the core essence of me never changed. And the redhead that I was, naturally so, that combined with the Italian mouth, relationships come and go, and that's okay. So I learned a lot about who I was through those experiences. I've learned a lot about what I believe a family is through my family experience. I learned how important people are when I call them family. And I learned that family isn't always the family that you were born into, but the ones that you resonate to, the ones that you hold vibration with. Those are your family on a much higher frequency. And sometimes they are related to you, sometimes not so much. And friends. I've had a lot of friends through my life. I can count on my hand the friends that I have retained through my life. And I've been very blessed. I'm now doing much better. I think I can count on 10 fingers the amount of people that I hold closest to my heart. There was somebody, I remember getting a phone call back in the fall of someone who we resonated in high school. It was graduation night, and we talked and only talked until 6 in the morning. And this gentleman contacted me all these years later, and I have thought about him periodically through life. and wondered how he was doing because there was that connection, that spiritual connection that you find rarely, but you find it. And I haven't seen him since high school, um, but I heard from him, and nothing had changed. I still resonated to his energy, and it was a beautiful thing. Doesn't mean that I'm gonna run up to where his hometown is and knock on his door and say, "Take me, I'm yours." It means, what a beautiful opportunity to resonate vibrationally with someone for even just a few minutes. That interaction was worth way more than the drama relationships that I had created for myself over the past many years. So, understanding that um, we go through this and we hold those resonating patterns. It could even be our neighbors. Like, I have one neighbor on one side of me. She thought I ratted her out to the, um, what do they call it? The homeowners. She thought I ratted her out because her yard was filthy. Didn't rat her out. Didn't have to. Everything was on display. Her entire yard was trashed. Her backyard was trashed. You could see it. I didn't have to. Well, I didn't have to say a word. But she thought ill of me because she thought badly of her yard and that it must be bothering me. And the reason she thought it must be bothering me is I keep a very clean yard. I happen to like going out, pulling weeds and getting out in the sun on my day off and feeling the energy of earth and connecting and talking and being with my earth. And she thought it was because I keep a clean yard that I ratted her out. Whereas the other neighbor on the other side of me, he loves me. He thinks I'm really a cool neighbor. And he's a really cool guy too. He does his yard work as best he can. He doesn't always get to it. He had a lot on his plate this last summer, but he saw in me that there was no judgment because he wasn't holding judgment on him. And these are the things that we have to really come into our own accountability for. We have to accept responsibility for our half of the relationships. Um, I'm happy. I'm easily approached. If you have a problem, talk to me. If you have a problem with me, talk to me. Let's talk it out. I was talking with someone this morning and I said how funny it was that um, one person that we knew mutually never has come to me to say, I'm angry at you for this, I'm angry at you for that, but has told a lot of people what I do that makes them angry. So I'm left with the understanding that's really not me that's making them angry, but them making them angry. They took on a responsibility that they're now bored with and they don't want to continue. So now it's my fault because we have a hard time accepting responsibility for where we find ourselves, right? You find you wherever you go. That means you find your accountability wherever you go. You're part of the solution. You're also part of the problem. It would be really nice if we all understood the same, had the same understanding. What does it mean to be a coworker? What does it mean to be in a relationship? But we don't. So instead of talking about these things or even adjusting our understanding to these things, we go about our way and work at trying. Guy I was dating came over and he knows I love doing yard work. I love a clean yard. So he cleaned my yard. He did. He did an amazing job. He cut back all my flowers that were going to regrow, all my morning glories. They regrow every year, and they were just coming out of the ground, and I was so happy. It was a nice spring. It was lots of rain, so they had come up early, and I was so excited. And he got rid of them because they must be weeds. but his heart was in the right place. He was vibrating at, "Hey, I wanna help her." Whereas somebody else watched me sat on the porch and watched me mow my yard every Monday while they sat there because they didn't find it to be, I guess, their responsibility. Well, they were staying in my house for a few months because they had lost their home in the pandemic. So they had moved in with me temporarily and sat and didn't contribute. So, who are you going to be most frustrated with? The one who doesn't contribute or the person who contributed a little too much? Either or. I'd rather have the too much contribution than not any at all. But that's just me, and we exploit people. We exploit them with um, our own desires. We exploit, meaning we manipulate people to create the avenue where we come off looking good so that we can be seen as amazing people. Child stars were exploited. There's some horrendous stories, and as these child stars are coming out saying more and more. Well, it's the same with our spirituality. Sometimes those child stars and spirituality that have spiritual gifts can be exploited too. We just don't ever recognize that because we think it's great that these children are proteges, are, idiot savants, and they do these amazing gifted things. The problem is that what we're teaching them is lopsided. You're only good for the one thing that you're providing. And we all have to remember that when we incarnated, okay, before I took on the little baby form, because I was a baby one time, I've got pictures to prove it, not too many, but I've got some. We were not the innocent child. We were spiritual beings. And we knew what we were signing up for, okay? And our soul carries thousands and thousands and thousands of life experiences from all our thousands and thousands and thousands of lives. And our innocence as children is just that. Our lack of memory of the true light and love and truth that our souls know we are. And I'll say it again, our innocence as children is just our lack of memory of the true lights of love and truth that we are. That's it. Our soul knows all of it. And our destiny is created prior to incarnation with our spirit team. Now, I tell people this, you have one spirit guide and the rest are your spirit teachers. And I say this because your guide is with you 24/7. And I think it's very important that we recognize our guide as just that one being, that one spirit that's with us 24/7. The rest have equal importance in our life, but they come in as needed. As we develop, as we grow, and as we contribute, they come in to help us. They come in to help us move through things, help us to higher understandings. Like some of my spirit team, I've got one that comes in, and she was a nun during the Inquisition, or shortly after, in that time frame, I'll say. And she did not believe in religion the way religion was then or has become. So she helps me a lot with my metaphysical understandings. She goes, she was the one that probably when I was 8 years old and got kicked out of the Baptist church was the one that says, think about this. She was probably also sitting there because she was a Catholic nun, When I went, my grandmother took me to the priest and I said, "I don't understand." And he said, "She's not made for the Catholic churches," because she was standing over there going, "Michelle, you know." So we have those team members that bring us light and beauty, and our soul, our spirit shines with the level of knowledge that we embody. But our destiny is created with our spirit team prior to incarnation. That's why babies look so beautiful and they emanate, and everybody loves to hold them, is because they're still pure. They've got their taint on, their nasty, negative talk. They're not. No child incarnates to grow up and say, "I'm going to grow up to be a murderer." Well, maybe they do. I'm not sure. It's been a while since I've been a murderer in a life. But the point is that they incarnate to the trauma that would create them the necessity of being murdered or murdering. Some murders just happen. I'm not going to get into that. I just don't want anybody to think that I take murder lightly and that they're murdered family members or friends aren't thought highly of in spirit world. They are. It's a brutal ending. But it wasn't your mother, it wasn't your grandmother, it's not your brother or sister that is your guardian angel. That's your guide. They're not, they might pop in to help you. They might even give you little words of wisdom through a message, but they are not your spirit team. And you want to make sure that they are available to check in with you, but they're not there creating an avenue where it's an easy peasy kind of lifestyle, because they were here on earth with us. So they were part of our creation of our life. So they helped us while they were here in co-creating. But our spirit team helps us on the other side. Now, they don't do it for us because we know we have free will, but they will help us become accountable. They will help guide us to remember the light that we are. They will help us remember that we come from divine source. They will help us get to the understanding that we are magnificent beings of love and light. And if we truly want to have a life of love and abundance, then we have to rethink what we're doing. Like, don't settle. Don't settle for somebody just because they show up and you're physically attracted to them and you slept with them. You don't have to keep them just because you sleep with them. I know it's not but please put a barrier between it and use birth control. But so I told my kids, barrier and birth control, you can't miss. But don't settle. Don't settle for somebody who talks negative to you, who sees you as negative. Don't settle for that person. Step away and don't blame them. Don't blame yourself. Just say, "Wow, what a great learning opportunity. I learned I don't need to have that in my life." So you can step away and don't procrastinate. Procrastination only serves to make the balance of karma that much thicker to get through. Okay? Don't procrastinate. You know when it's wrong. Don't go to a psychic and say, "Is my spouse cheating on me?" Because if you're asking me, we're not going to talk about that spouse. I'm going to tell you, you already know the answer. I want to talk about you and why you're still staying. I want to talk about why you find it necessary to stay if you even think that, even if they aren't cheating. There's something broken in you that you need to reevaluate, and that person isn't helping you heal that. And the dynamics may not be good. You may need to step away from all relationships until you heal the aspects that's important for you to have. So take your words seriously. That's another key indication that you're going to be able to become into this liking where you find yourself today, loving who you are. is take your word seriously. If you say, I love a clean house, then don't live with somebody or marry somebody who you went over to their house to clean up after, because you're not going to have a clean house. They're going to be just as dirty because you've already trained them to be dirty because you went thinking it was cute in the relationship. Oh, let me go help you clean. We'll play house and we'll go help clean. And they're like, cool, because I didn't have to do it and I got a clean house. And the same is said with their finances. Don't bail them out of financial difficulties. If they're in financial difficulties, ding, 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 they're not good stewards of their money. And you need to change all of that so that when you go in and you see that they are living the way that you want to live, then yay, you're halfway through that matching vibration thing. But if you're sitting there with your words saying, we can learn to live with each other. What if you say, I want the one I can resonate with, that resonates to my frequency. I want the person who vibes at the same rate that I do. You vibing me? Got it? Yeah. Our decision to settle lands us in a very lonely place. And the same is said with our abundance. The same is said with our life in general, our coworkers, our people. We take us with us wherever we go. Turn around and there you are. You will find you wherever you go. You need to learn to love it. So you need to learn to change the language. You need to learn to say things like, magical work comes to me in a magical way. I make magical money for magical pay. Or no, wait a minute. I give magical service for magical pay. I have things posted. Can you tell? If you want your third eye open, I'm activating my third eye. I am consciously creating an active receptive condition in my third eye. If you want more money, I am grateful for all the joy, abundance, and love that finds me. I am open to receive all the abundance that is coming my way. I live in a world of abundance. See, now I can just make them up. I am a magnificent being of love and light. I love everyone who comes into my world. My heart is open to everyone. When you have an open heart, doesn't mean you have to fix it for them, and it doesn't mean that you have to take abuse by them. It doesn't mean that they have to be mean to you. It means that you just love them purely and divinely for the spiritual light and love that they are. It does not mean that you have to fix anything for them. Everybody needs to fix it for themselves. I finally learned that if you're continually complaining, you're not changing it, you're contributing to it. If you find negative in everything that you say and do, people, places, things, jobs, neighbors, friends, family, blah, 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 then you need to look at you and start changing your internal dialogue, because that's what's important. How we do that is small mental changes. Imagine yourself getting up and the day is bright and shiny and the flowers are blooming. I don't care if it's winter. There's blooming flowers. In my world, there's always flowers blooming. And there are people out there and they're happy. I see everybody smiling and they're happy and they're laughing. And it's wonderful. And in my world, when I wake up in the morning, I get my cup of coffee and it's nourishment and it's cozy and it's warm. And my physical changes, I get up and I do a little bit more exercise. I get up and clean my area. I take one area that I may have dumped clutter on and I kind of shift the energy of it. And sometimes I let it sit because sometimes I don't care. But be clear to be the person that you want to be. That's the important part. Be very clear of who you want to be because you are amazing just as you are. You are a perfected being. That perfected being is inside. People say downloads, downloads, downloads. I'm going to tell you, upload it because the perfected being within knows everything. So upload that. Upload, talk to your higher self, upload your passion, upload your moment, upload your day. Find you wherever you go and love where you are. My heart to all of yours. I hope you enjoyed today. I will talk with you, I hope, on another day. I'll see you on Mondays from now on. Friday's got to be a bit of a mess because they just were. I was trying to get to work, trying to get here, trying to do the YouTubes at the center with the internet constantly challenging me. I'm home, it's stable, we're good. My heart to all of yours. I see you next Monday at noon. Bye for now.